Okay, good. As you know, you've got 15 minutes. I'll tell you when there are like 2 or 1 minute before the end.
Okay.
After your presentation, you'll have a seat and you'll receive questions from the commission. You can start now.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My research is about the impact of anxiety levels on a group of adult learners' oral performance in teacher-initiated question-response in the full classroom activities. Background information. This research was carried out in Universidad, Santo Tomás in a basic English 2 adult course with 24 students. The motives. I noticed since the first time in practical that students were usually in silence when the teacher asked questions to them. So I tried to, they try to avoid answering the teacher's question orally. So according to ELI, anxious students most likely do not take part in our classroom activity. That is where I noticed that anxiety may be one of the problems that could be part of the classroom. Creative knowledge. For most of the words that I read, I found that most of them are not focused their attention on one skill but the learning of the foreign language itself. Also, they are focused on the student's perception of anxiety, so they are like very subjective. The purpose of this study is to add information from the foreign language anxiety perspective by measuring the levels and comparing them with the oral performance results. Research questions and objectives. How may anxiety levels affect a group of learners' oral performance in teacher-initiated question-response classroom activities? The general objective is to determine the possible impact of anxiety levels on a group of learners' oral performance in teacher-initiated question-response EFL classroom activities. The specific objectives are to identify the levels of anxiety exhibited by a group of EFL Chilean learners in a basic English 2 adult course in Santo Tomás University, and to identify and analyze the possible relation between high levels of anxiety and levels of performance in the set of chosen oral tasks. The research hypothesis. Anxiety levels affect on learners' oral performance in teacher-initiated question-response classroom activities. According to Phillips, there is a relationship between language anxiety and oral performance. The null hypothesis is anxiety levels don't affect on learners' oral performance in teacher-initiated question-response classroom activities. Theoretical framework. Here you can see that we have first English as a foreign language, which is the type of English that we are teaching here. Then we have task, oral performance, a part of English as a foreign language. And anxiety, which is the element that may be affected in the oral performance. Concepts, EFL. Those whose first language is not English in their country of origin. This is took from Gilby, 2011. Oral performance, the use of the language to convey meaning with a communicative objective through the practice of social interactions. Yule, 2010. Task, a piece of classroom work which involves learners in comprehending, producing, or interacting in the target language, while their attention is principally focused on meaning rather than form. Anxiety, according to Young, citing Ketani, foreign language anxiety is the psychological tension, apprehension, and work experienced by non-native speakers when learning or using a foreign language. This is important because I didn't define anxiety by itself, because we are going to focus just on anxiety in foreign language. Methodological framework. Here we have the approach, which is quantitative, the paradigm, which is positivist, and the design, which is non-experimental. Sample and population. The sample were 16 students. Then I apply an oral placement activity, a diagnostic, because it's a multi-level class. So I needed to know which were the levels in oral performance of the students. So I applied this oral placement activity, and then I got 9 students for the sample, which was chosen by half plus 1, which were chosen for the study, the 4 best results and the 5 worst results. Research materials. I had an anxiety checklist. This includes foreign language anxiety characteristics that are from 2 words, from Leary and Jones. It was divided into effects on the body, and effects of the speech. And the levels of anxiety went from 0 to 9. So if they had, for example, 2 characteristics of anxiety, and the other one had 3, this one has more levels of anxiety than this one. Oral performance rubric, designed by the tutor-teacher practicum. This was taught with the tutor-teacher, and it includes communication, that interaction teacher-student during the task, because we are focused on that type of task, grammar, vocabulary, and fluency. Both were applied during an activity, which is this one. No, this one. This one, the oral placement activity, that it was only carried out to choose the sample. It was a similar model for questions of interaction of the IELTS examination. And it was validated by the tutor-teacher, and contents vocabulary previously seen by the students in the previous course were taken into account for the design. And the oral performance activity. It was similar to the design of the oral placement activity, and evaluated in a similar context as the oral placement activity. And the band descriptors rubric. This was important because I had to have the levels of the students. So I had to use this band descriptor rubric that contains IELTS band descriptors to identify the English oral proficiency of the students. The descriptors are numbered from 0 to 9, being 9 the perfect performance during the activity, or 0 the worst. It was used alongside the Common European Framework of Reference to convert the results into English levels. So I can have the example. Data analysis techniques. It was used the SPSS program, the Pearson product moment correlation, and also I had help from an expert in the area who was a sociologist, so I can explain the Pearson correlation better. Trustworthiness. Reliability. The oral performance rubric was used twice before in a similar context by the teacher. Anxiety elements included in the anxiety checklist were features observed in 2 previous studies from Leary and Young, both with similar results. Validity. Anxiety was determined through observing the main characteristic of foreign language anxiety. This means that internal factors were avoided. The activity and rubric were designed thinking and evaluating just oral performance. Objectivity. Materials used are based on previous studies, authors, and experts who help to create instruments and analyze these ones. Data analysis. Here is the data I collected. Here we have the 9 students, the levels of anxiety, checked by the checklist, levels of anxiety, and the grade they obtained from this. In blue, you have the best results, and in red, I don't know if you can see that, in red you have the worst results. But we have here an strange case, which has here, here. So we are going to see that later. Here we have the table, a contingency table, where we put all the information. Here we have the grades and anxiety in the program. And there we have the levels of anxiety they achieved and the total. This is a table because the expert had to add another variable that were the categories of the anxiety checklist to have a result, and then have the result for the correlation Pearson. Here is anxiety checklist. So you can see, for example, the categories that have distortion of sound, unable to reproduce intonation and rhythm of the language, freezing up when called up to perform, forgets words or phrases just learned, stutter or stomach, fidgeting, play with her or his fingers, manipulates objects, and sweats. Findings. Here we have the correlational. This result and these results are important. Why? Because these explain the validation of the hypothesis. The correlation is significant at level 0.001. 0.05. So these results said that the Pearson correlation has a negative numerical value, which is represented here. This means that when one variable increases, the other one decreases. This is a constant of proportionality and almost a perfect negative correlation coefficient because of its proximity with the perfect value, which is -1. Here we have an example. This is the scatter plot for my scatter plot, and this is the negative perfect correlation. So you can see that it's like a line to the left, and here you can see that it's also a line to the left. But we have a strange case, which is this one. Research regarding the hypothesis. The significance of the level of reliability is 0.018, which is greater than 0.005. This means that the hypothesis proposed in chapter 1 is rejected. Why? Because we have this strange case, and when we have a sample that is too narrow, I think it's too affects a lot in the sample. So it denies the hypothesis. So I did another correlation Pearson, taking out this strange case to check the hypothesis. And then we have this, which is the number that affects the hypothesis, and we have this, which is the same. That says that the hypothesis is achieved. The second correlation of Pearson test to check the validity showed that if we take a strange numerical value for one student, which was grade 6.5 and anxiety 5, from the data, there is a significance in the correlation because 0.001 is equal to 0.001. Consequently, the hypothesis, just in this case, could be achieved. Just in this case, in the second correlation, I'm taking out this strange case. Consequently, in the first case, our hypothesis anxiety levels affect on learners' oral performance in teacher-initiated question response classroom activities is denied. Results. There is a relationship between anxiety and oral performance. If we take the strange case from the sample, it can be concluded that in answer to the research question, there is a negative impact of anxiety on the oral performance. The objectives are fulfilled, which were to identify the levels of the students and identify and analyze the possible relationship between high levels of anxiety and levels of oral performance. Limitations. The amount of students affected the data collection. Why? Because we have this narrow sample that one student affected a lot the results of so it denied my hypothesis. But if we took this, we have a hypothesis achieved. Regarding time constraints, in the first activity, I had a little problems because we didn't have time, so I had to record the students. They were aware of this, so maybe that could affect the anxiety levels of them. Also, in the second activity, when I had to apply the oral performance activity, they had to be asked to come in groups because there were a lot of students, so I couldn't just ask one by one. Contributions and future directions. Well, this is going to help in the practical area because it's going to help teachers in the way that they are going to be aware of the things and the tasks that maybe can be affecting the students who are developing, in this case, theoretical, because it's helping and it's supporting the area of anxiety, adding more information to the breadth of knowledge that now exists in this area. And social, because people are going to be aware that their anxiety is not only in the classroom, that it's in every part, in the job, in every place. So they have to be aware that anxiety exists and it's part of everyone, even if it's a low level. To take into considerations in the future directions, the amount of people for the sample. Maybe I should have like more people in the sample. And analyze taking into consideration external external factors that can affect the results of the study. For example, the fact that I was there recording them because we didn't have time and all that kind of stuff. So that could be affecting them in the way they exhibit anxiety. The metacognitive. Inside the teacher's role, a researcher and reflective practitioner. Well, my strength is that I'm a critical person who wants to explore different. Sorry, I was confusing with the strength. Sorry. When I first started in this career, I wasn't like thinking that we were so critical, that we were. So then I changed my mind, and I think that the teacher is the critical person who wants to explore different areas of education and look always for the improvement. That you don't stop learning, that you have to learn every day. And that being a teacher is more like teaching, because you are not only a teacher, you are a parent, you are a consultant sometimes, so you are a lot of things for the students. Strengths, weaknesses, and challenges in the internship. I think my strength is to handle situations that can be threatening for teachers when experience is not present. That is something I think it's really important, because sometimes things change during the practical. It's not going well what you plan. So I think that this is really good because I can like improvise. So it's really good. So according to DIAS 2012, you should strike a balance and stay focused on what you have planned, while remaining attentive and ready to make adjustments or to relax certain rules if you can contribute to students' learning. My weakness is that I tend to approach the students as if they were kids. I received this in the TKT course when I was giving the demo classes. So I noticed that I'm always like in a childish way explaining to my classmates and all that kind of stuff, and in the practical also. But I think I disagree, and I agree with this because it had been good for me to act like this, and the students feel like more comfortable, I think. But the challenge is to think a way to reach the students considering their needs and age so they don't feel uncomfortable. Strengths, weaknesses, and challenges in the research process. My strength is that I take my time to analyze everything carefully, the data that I collect and all that kind of stuff. I read it a lot. Like I have to be sure about what I receive for the data collection and for the analysis and all that kind of stuff. My weakness is that I'm bad at organizing time for the research, because I'm always at the last time doing everything, and that's horrible because I can organize my time. So according to Tracy 2014, once you are clear about your goal, this is what I should do as our challenge. Once you are clear about your goal, you then make a list of everything that you can think of that you will have to do to achieve that goal. Keep adding new items to the list as you think of them, until your list is complete. Organize your list two ways, by sequence and by priority. So I think this is a good way to achieve the problem I have here. And that's it. Here are my references.
Now I have to ask